And now things get heavy. Not just because I know a number of you were looking forward to this part of the game, or because there happens to be two varieties of the stage. It's because something happens in this stage that never, well, that's a lie, that almost never happens again. Welcome to the Bamboo Forest of the Lost, which neighbors the human village. As the name implies, it is very easy to venture in for any extended period of time and lose your bearings. Unless you can fly, I'm assuming. Anyhow, Kane led us in this direction following the unfortunate beatdown, but hey, she came to us thinking that we were trying to eat the humans. I blame Yukari for always looking suspicious, but that's just me. Anyhow, back to the forest. In one of the official Dojin comics, Strange and Bright-Natured Deity, it is implied that this forest was washed into Gensokyo by a tsunami. This in itself implies that some, if not most of the water in Gensokyo is from the outside as well, when you consider that seas and oceans, given the correct meteorological conditions even, are the only bodies of water large enough to create legitimate tsunamis. But to this point in time, Gensokyo doesn't have either. Only lakes and rivers and runoff. So it looks like no matter how bad a storm or earthquake there is in Gensokyo, that forest isn't likely to move again. How strong does an earthquake have to even be to uproot a tree, let alone send it in a tidal wave after an entire bamboo forest? It must have been nightmarishly powerful. Is that even a word? Nightmarishly? Anyway, I did some research on the matter, and it might not be too far off. I can't completely confirm it, but a little over 500 years ago, before the boundary was created, there was an 8.6 magnitude earthquake that slammed into the Nankaido area in South Japan and triggered a tsunami. This might not be the right one, but it proves that these sort of things can happen. And while I was babbling on about earthquakes and what have you, we found the false moon. And also... oh no. Marisa Kirisame, oh boy. Marisa is another magician living in the Forest of Magic, and probably a living Western standard of your typical witch. She's got the big poofy hat, she mostly relies on a broom for transportation, and of course magic is a large part of her everyday life. Only she'd be less likely to turn you into a frog and more likely to punch holes in you with lasers, most notably with Master Spark. Marisa first appeared in the PC-98 game The Story of Eastern Wonderland as an apprentice to the evil spirit Mima. However, since then she's shown more and more independence, and after Mystic Square, not only did she undergo the aforementioned radical change in appearance, but Mima never appeared in any game since then, which made people wonder if she's still under Mima's tutelage or not. Chances are not, but you know, people like to argue. Being the other main character now, Marisa has quite the odd relationship with Reimu. Firstly, they are allies on terms of yokai extermination, only whereas Reimu is bound to it as her duty, Marisa does it more out of her personal interest, or at least she comes off that way. She uses these encounters with numerous opponents for her own magical research. Secondly, she also has a friendly rivalry with Reimu, to the point of spell card battles, in turn to the point of using them to settle fairly trivial debates. The latter doesn't seem to lose the majority of these battles, but given what I said in the other Stage 4 video, some of the battles in these games in printworks shown could actually be rematches. It is noted, however, that Reimu has a very slight edge with her talents alone. Thirdly, even though she has her own house in the Forest of Magic and claims she could easily build another one if it ever gets destroyed, she could just as easily be found at the Hakure Shrine discussing current events with Reimu, reminiscing, or maybe even training. She then uses these past memories in battles and notes a few small things about each spell card she's seen that either A, catches her attention, B, she is unable to use due to complications, or C, completely disinterests her, and she's just noting it for the sake of completely avoiding it and others like it in the future. The fact that she has a grimoire all of a sudden and is taking notes about magic and Danmaku really makes me curious as to what's in Alice's grimoire. Does she do the same research? Is it filled with memories from Mystic Square? Is it just a diary? We don't know, and until that book is unbound and read, we're not going to find out. But enough about Alice. Marisa is one of very few characters that has a confirmed family relative. She may want nothing to do with him, but her father also lives in the human village. Perhaps it was a disagreement, like most of these cases tend to be, and Marisa just had enough one day and moved out. You can make a ton of theories about this, like the one I just did, but again, until we hear more about the Kirisame family, it'll only be a theory. And because of Marisa's take on the matter, it is very unlikely that will ever happen. As for Marisa herself, she's relatively a straight shooter. She believes that Danmaku should be about power first and foremost. As a result, her patterns aren't that much to look at, but hell if they're not effective. Like that one non-spell where she walls you with stars. I've always had a problem with precision dodging, and that non-spell is about as precision as you can get. She also has a session with collecting items and on occasion thieves from others, and says something along the lines of, "Oh, don't worry, I'm just borrowing this. You can have it back when I die." Of course, the fanon takes this up to 11, but that's not really anything out of the ordinary at this point. Sometimes she even lifts concepts of attacks from her opponents. Case in point, her non-directional laser spell card bears a striking resemblance to either of Patchoulie's non-spells and embodiment, and even her Master Spark is said to have been inspired from Yuka Kazami's giant laser attack even further back in Lotus Land story. Despite being trigger-happy, I see Marisa as one of the more relatable characters in the series, besides the magician thing. Like I said, she's very straightforward and is the source of most of the series' humor, which sort of makes up for the fact that I can't use her properly. At least I can laugh on the inside rather than laughing at myself. So, this stage's question: who do you think is the better protagonist overall? Marisa or Reimu? I'm still leaning a little bit towards Reimu, but like I said in the other Stage 4 video, I'm not quite partial to main characters. I just think some side characters have much better designs and concepts. And Marisa down. And only then does the illusion of the bamboo forest break and the path reveal itself. I find that a little fishy. Alice isn't even there. Maybe she's the one hiding it from us. On a more serious note though, the next stage proves to be both my favorite and least favorite in Imperishable Night, and you'll see why.